You, Black woman, have been taught to serve. You have been programmed to be a worker, but no one ever told you that you could be free. This is going to be a two-part episode where I am going to be referencing again Tabitha Brown's message that she did that had people in an uproar, how she told people to go get a job. And it came at a time where over 300,000 Black women were released in some way from the quote labor force, workforce, labor force. Those two words itself is problematic, but that is not the point of this video. So let me stay on task. So again, in the previous video, in that video that I did reference Tabitha Brown's message, and it was catered to entrepreneurs to get a job if they were not making money in their business. Okay. Now, this message, her message could apply to anyone. Okay. Not just Black women. But majority of Tabitha Brown's audience is Black women. Black women. The majority of her audience looks like her. They look like me. All right. So I gave my take on her message. I won't repeat it here. If you're interested, go back to the episode. I don't know what it's called, but you'll find it. Okay. If you keep listening to my videos, okay. If you keep listening to the podcast and you keep watching my videos, you'll come across it. Okay. And so in this episode, I'm not going to give my take again, but I am going to reference her message again to address how Black women, women of the diaspora, women of the African diaspora have been taught and programmed to be workers, to be busy, to always be doing something to give of themselves in some way. But Black women have never been encouraged to be free in their expression, because their expression is an intimidation, is viewed as an intimidation to many people. But I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm excited about this episode. So again, her message came at a time when over 300,000 Black women were released from the workforce, labor force, okay, on some level. And I believe it was the timing of her message that triggered so many people. All right. So now, while the release of a job, whether you get fired or you get laid off because the company that you worked in did some type of reorganization, I have experienced both. All right. And I can tell you, when you experience that, the last thing you want to hear is someone telling you to just go and get a job. Okay. Now, being released from the job, however the release came about, doesn't even matter at this point. I know how that change can feel. And yet it can be liberating. I'm going to get back to the liberation part. Before I address that, though, I want to talk about how Tabitha Brown's message fuels religious programming. Yes, the two are connected. Okay, they are connected. So religion teaches women that the more you do, teaches Black women, the more you do, the more that your womanhood and your humanhood is validated. I'm going to repeat that. Religion teaches you that the more that you do, the more work you do, the more you give of your energy, the more validated you are as a woman, the more validated you are in just your womanhood, but your humanness. Okay. Black woman's womanhood has always been connected to her worth and how much work she did. And this is another caveat to this. There's so many layers to this for the Black woman. So not only is the Black woman's worth compared to how much she did, how much she worked, but that validation was also attached to how she was viewed for marriage. Okay? How she was viewed for marriage. And again, I'm going to do another episode just on that piece. Okay? So, in all of those messages of how much are you doing to be validated in your womanhood, in your humanness? How much are you doing to show that you're validated to be chosen as a wife? Okay. Through all of those messages, the Black woman was never encouraged to find out, to discover what what the Black woman's desire was. So it was always do to be validated, do to be validated, do to show your worth, do this, do that. But amidst all these to-dos, the Black woman was never taught to, in all of these do's, do you desire any of these do's? What do you desire in your life? If we even go back to being married, do you even want to be married? Do you even desire to be married? Okay. So the woman's joy, the woman's desire was never a factor. It was never considered. So the Black woman never considered that for herself, again, through programming. So the message to the Black woman was all about showing how much you could do. Or the religious word is serve. Show how much are you serving? How much more can you serve to validate your worth, to validate your womanhood, to validate your humanness? How much more can you serve? All right. When you walk into a Black church, the Black women are the pillars. They are anchors in the Black church. Okay. You see the Black women helping people to their seats in the church. Women who help people to their seats are called what? Ushers. Okay. You see the Black women praying for people in the church. That's called intercessor. You are an intercessor. Okay. You see Black women singing on the praise team. You see Black women cleaning. You see the black women cooking. You see Black women serving, okay, serving the pastor and his wife, all right, serving the man of God and the woman of God, okay. You see Black women assisting people in any kind of way. I don't care if it's handing out Kleenex. The Black woman in the Black church is doing that, okay. Again, to prove their womanhood, to prove that they are worthy to exist. All right. So the interesting part about this is that the scripture that was always used to validate all of this was that scripture in Proverbs. It was Proverbs 31. That talked about this woman who was doing all of these things. That woman sounded exhausted. And I remember as a young woman, as a child, I would always wonder, that woman sounds like she's doing a lot. Who's helping her? Who was helping her? So, because the church used that scripture to guilt the Black woman into serving, that woman, what in Proverbs was that woman that every black woman aspired to be. because that was the standard. Just do a whole bunch of things to prove yourself, which then carried outside of the church into society. All right. So, and before I even go there, let me say this. This is why this is so important. Black women have used the church as a place of comfort, even though it's not, and still not a place of comfort, to deal with the aggressions and microaggressions in the world, in society, in the so-called labor force workforce, okay? So Black women have been feeding a system that was not designed to your benefit, Black woman. So you take that consciousness out into the world and you apply it again to your life outside of the church. So now you're feeding another system that was not designed to appreciate you, that was not designed for your benefit. So you've got the religious system as we see it today that was not designed for your benefit. Then you have this so-called workforce that was also not designed for your benefit. Yet because you are used to working, you tell yourself, I'll do all of these things. Again, we're talking about the job now. We've moved out of the church now, out of the religion, and we're moving into the part of your life that is your job, career, whatever you want to call it. So you tell yourself, well, I'll do all of these things in this workforce, in this labor force, in this job. I'll get all the degrees that I can because a Black woman is told you have to be 10 times better. Again, you have to do all these things. Now, listen, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with a bunch of degrees. I myself have several. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with having degrees. But Black women, we have been taught and programmed that doing all those things, getting all of those degrees to prove ourselves, to do extra. So not just to prove that you're just as good, if not better than the next person, but you'll do all of these things. Okay, let me get to my notes. I want to make sure I stay on track. You'll do all these things as a way to minimize or tolerate or survive the microaggressions that you have experienced in the workforce, in the labor force, in your career, in your job. You see how all of this is intertwined. And this is why I say I will not apologize for this, because I see that few people are having a problem with me directing my message to Black women and our unique experience in religion, with religion, okay, and with religious programming. This is why it is layered. This is why I say we have a unique experience. We have had a unique experience with religion because religion has put a lid, has caused us to cover up our original essence, our original spiritual technology, which had nothing to do with the religion, with the religious program that we see today. And we have gotten away from our identity, which has caused chaos in our lives. All right. So, okay, let me get back on track. Now, so, Black woman, you've given your talent and skill now to another system. I said this before, I'll repeat this. So you've given your talent and skill to not only religion, but you've given your talent and skill to another system, being the labor force, which was not designed to benefit you at all. So I mentioned earlier that Black women were so engrossed in religion, okay, in order to find solace in the church to survive the racial, the misogyny, the aggressions and microaggressions outside of the church and inside the church. If we're going to be honest, I'm going to talk about that in another episode as well. Not realizing that you were still undergoing assault on your identity and spirituality in the church as well. So, what do we do about this? Black woman, what has all of this resulted in? And what can you do about it right now? That's what we're going to get into part 2 of this. So come back. First of all, I want you to go through this episode, share this episode with another Black woman who has been outside of the church for quite some time. And now you're saying, okay, I know that I have left a system that was never designed to benefit me. Now what? I want you to share this with that Black woman. I also want you to go to unleashedalchemy.com. And there are 2 ways that you can work with me one-on-one. You can sign up for 24 session package where I take you through phases where you're going to recognize how programming is still operating in your life. You're going to free yourself from that. You're going to identify your own spiritual gifts, and you're going to walk in your own spiritual technology and begin to be the magician and the alchemist that you were born to be. Okay, without constructs of religion. You were not designed for that. It wasn't designed to benefit you because you are the standard. When you show up, a Black woman doesn't have to show up in a space to say anything to exude power. To exude power, you don't have to say anything. You can stand tall with your shoulders back and just be. And someone will still be intimidated by you because you exude an essence that no one else has. You know what that essence is? That is the essence of being the original woman. That's what that is. So, before I go off on a tangent, I'm going to end it here. Go to unleashedalchemy.com. 2 ways to work with me, 24 session package, or there is a one-time session that's 55 minutes that you can also schedule with me. I have courses, I have books that you can check out that are very transformational and will help you to stand in your liberation on your odyssey as an alchemist, as one of power, as a goddess, as the divine, as the original woman. All right. Until next time, be sovereign.